let's have fun.
Okay.
Welcome to part 2 of the Art of Spooning podcast interview. With us we have Chef Davin Waite of the Wrench and Rodent Sea Bastro Pub in Oceanside and Chef Patrick Ponsaty of 1500 Ocean at the Hotel Del, and my partner, Michael Gardner.
And welcome to all of you out in Facebook land, Facebook Live land. Let us know if you have any questions, and we'll try to get them to our chefs. So this is part 2 of the best chef in San Diego. So, there's a lot of different ways to go about measuring the best chef. What does best chef mean to you?
First, I'm not the best chef. He's the best chef. But
I'm not the best chef. He's the best chef.
So what do you mean when you say that?
no, a great chef is someone who always consistent on a high level.
So,
And I like how you took that from best to great, because there's a lot of ways of being great, and best is so subjective, right?
And for me, also, I got to add, it's when you can tell there's amazing chefs out there. There's chefs out there that are better than me, but some of them are miserable. And if you love your job, why would you be miserable? For me, what makes Patrick so great is whenever I see him in the kitchen, he's happy to be there. Mm-hmm. He's like a little kid, and that's like, you take all of the accomplishments and everything that's been learned and all of that training, but that level of heart that comes into the game, it merges with that training and that experience, and it's exponential. So that's kind of my little
and I can absolutely tell you, having played around in the kitchen with you, that I see this absolutely the same thing. I mean, you are, when you're behind that bar at Wrench and Road, and you're a kid in a candy store.
Thank you.
With the different ingredients and just thinking about them as toys.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. There are, we're talking about how difficult it is to talk about best or even greatest or anything like that. But, we do have some ways of measuring these things, or at least scoreboards to calculate it on. And one of them is the Michelin Guide. Patrick, do you care about the Michelin Guide?
Well, before you answer that, tell us first of all, how many Michelin stars on your resume?
Around 15. 15.
15. So you've worked in restaurants that have the equivalent of 15 Michelin stars.
I work in a few.
1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, I work in a few 3 and a few 2 and a lot of 1s.
So it's fair to say you've got a little experience with it.
A little bit.
Now you can answer Michael's question. You're witness.
I knew that was coming.
Well, it's great to have a Michelin star in a restaurant, but it's better to have a full restaurant.
Yeah. Is there some relationship between the two, or is there not?
Yeah. But if you look in France right now, it's like more and more like Michel Bras, the 3 Michelin star. He just give away the 3 Michelin star.
Yeah.
Because of the amount of stress.
Right. So what you're saying is chefs are giving away their stars, right? There have been a lot of articles about that recently.
But the reasons they cite are different. One of them is the stress. I mean, Bernard Loiseau, perhaps be a very famous, innovative chef who gave away his Michelin stars in the ultimate sense. He took his life, because of the stress of maintaining that 3rd Michelin star. But there are others who say that it hampers their creativity. It hampers, limits what they can do.
They make you keep pushing and pushing. If you one day, I hope one day before I die, I'm gonna have 1 somewhere. But trust me, if I receive 1 Michelin star, I'm going to push for the 2nd and the 3rd.
So is it important to you?
I have one life. That's one of my goals, to achieve that, but it's not easy.
Well, kind of difficult to do since we don't have Michelin in San Diego. What do you think it would take to get Michelin in San Diego?
I hear they start coming and shop a few restaurants in San Diego.
Really? You have heard of that?
Yeah.
Interesting.
But I don't know. But
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot of a talented chef who can receive one Michelin star.
Well, I've been hearing the same thing in Vegas
Yeah.
and L.A. And from chefs that seem to know, or from industry people that seem to know, so maybe they're thinking about
my
filling
thought
out the
that
West Coast.
the best chance for San Diego to have Michelin inspectors come here regularly, to be in the Michelin Guide would be as an adjunct to L.A. the same way that San Francisco, covers everything from Silicon Valley and even down Los Gatos all the way up to Napa and Sonoma.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that just piss everybody in San Diego off, though, that we're an adjunct to L.A.?
We are.
So look, over in Singapore, Thailand, even Japan, they're giving Michelin stars out to street stands, basically, right? They've got, and I'm not sure, you may know more about this, if it's a completely different level of star, but apparently if you've got 1 star, it's 1 star.
It's
if
one
you got
star.
2 stars, you got 2
Yeah.
stars. So, Davin, certainly you would pop up on the radar if Michelin came to San Diego. Is there anything that you would do differently?
If I had a star,
If Michelin was in San Diego and you had the ability to
Don't change it.
the potential to get a star,
Stay the same.
that's a hard one. I think like Chef says, whether we admit it or not, just about every chef wants a star. It's the pinnacle. It's what there's no real. It's hard because it's also subjective anyway. What good and bad. But I mean, who doesn't secretly want a star? I don't know if I would change anything. I think. I mean, my more than me getting a star for myself, I would just love to see San Diego start to get that level of attention on the world culinary scene. I know.
Well, who in San Diego, Greater San Diego, would be people, restaurants that you two see as potentially stars?
Well, I've had better meals at the hand of the gentleman sitting next to me than I have at Michelin star restaurants.
Oops.
I agree.
So
Did I just say that? Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
so
No, seriously. I mean, that's no stretch of the imagination. That whether the star's in his hand or not, it's a Michelin star chef right here, and seeing
Make me
people
red.
like that
Yeah.
in the scene that deserve that recognition, I want them to, I think they deserve that. Just because of a geographic location, you don't get the same.
All right, but quit being so politically correct. Name some restaurants in San Diego that would be worthy of a star right now.
Well, I think the first to come to my mind is Addison, because he's William Bradley food is actually.
I can absolutely tell you, I've eaten a lot of Michelin star food that is not as good as Addison's. And I don't think that's a terribly controversial point.
Yeah.
I'm not really going out on a limb there.
I agree. No, I don't think. I don't think there's any question.
So who else? Who else?
It's a tricky question. Huh?
What about Brad Wise? What about Trust?
And never eat there.
Okay, Campfire you've been to? Carlsbad. I think Campfire is the North County equivalent of
It's
Trust.
great food, yeah. I was there last Sunday.
Okay. So would they rate a star, like get their first star?
I mean, yeah. The food is but I don't, yeah.
How about Market?
No say.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I'd say
think-
no. I'd say
Right.
I'd say no.
So, and that's one of the arguments I've made
What do you
recently
think?
is that maybe there's a dearth, there's a dearth of.
Yeah.
Let me put one on the radar. I've actually sent the chef to both of your restaurants, Saransh Oberoi at Masala Street, a high-end Indian restaurant in La Jolla.
Oh yeah,
And
very nice guy.
I've eaten at a Indian restaurant in on the peninsula that has a Michelin star. and I would say that hands down, what Oberwatt does at Masala Street is better, and and it isn't close. Now that shouldn't surprise. We're talking about a guy who who was high in the chain at Campton Place in San Francisco, who cooked for Jean-Georges. So he's got a he absolutely has the pedigree. He has the technique. And he comes like you from a line of chefs, and so he's absolutely got the palate. And I think that what he does is
you work for Alain Ducasse too.
Alain Ducasse, yeah, yeah.
I want to try it.
Yeah,
Let's
definitely.
Go.
So let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about vegetarian and vegan. Obviously, Davin, you are known as
they're all over there.
Yeah, I know.
Well, so
but you know what? You're no slouch at it
celebrating in the booth.
The first time that we went to dinner and David and Jess came with us, and I think you brought the boys too, and that's when you were at a former establishment, and I let you know, hey, Jess is I think at the time she was vegetarian. Is that true? You were vegan, okay? And Patrick goes, yeah, no problem. And as we ate, and you brought out, I don't know, 5 or 6 unique courses that you kind of just thought up, an hour before we walked in the restaurant. And Jess had, remember, one of them was a ratatouille that nobody else got. And she had 5 or 6 unique courses that were completely different from ours, all completely vegan. And as she's eating every bite, she goes, this is the best vegan meal I've ever had in my entire life. And you said something like, oh, it's easy. Just take out all the cream and meat. So you're no slouch at vegan either, but let's talk about that. How many vegan Michelin star restaurants are there in the world? Do you know?
I don't, and that's why I didn't comment on the previous question. Chef knows a lot more about
vegetarian, vegan. I don't know.
Is there vegetarian?
Yeah,
and vegetable forward. Yeah, I mean, he's not, but he's not even vegetarian. I mean, L'Arpège is vegetable forward. And it's certainly, but it still has meat.
Yes, yeah, meat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But I mean, we were talking, in the previous segment, about how Michelin star chefs need to push forward.
Of course, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And the danger that that they take on when they make a change. Think about how this, what was in L'Arpège, what was a palace of meat became a palace of vegetables. Mm-hmm. Think about the courage that it would have taken to do that.
So how important do you think vegetarian cuisine and vegan cuisine is right now? Well, let's start with San Diego, but I guess worldwide. How important is it for a chef to have those skills and that ability to remove meat and any animal products from their cooking?
Even if you don't remove the meat, you still show the veggies the same respect.
Exactly.
Absolutely, that was what struck me the first time I went to Wrench and Rodent was how you treated the vegetables.
Oh, thank you.
Speaking of treating vegetables, so you broke some news last month. I know you and I have had a couple of conversations about it, so let's get it out there in the wide open air. Tell us about the plot and the restaurant plans thereof, if there are any.
We're currently in the idea stage. Definitely learned not to rush things. Just because I've got the wrench and that's my baby
and the noodle.
That's I mean, it's a dream job. That's my little.
Wait a minute, a noodle's a vegetable?
It could. Depends which noodle.
Okay, so the plot right now is what?
Well, the plot right now is the beginning phase of a plant-based concept. There's been a lot of vegan restaurants popping up, vegan fast food, and I really want to do one that's just cool shit with plants. Definitely vegan, but just like really focus on the plants, not the fake meats and all of that, which is cool.
But you're selling a lot of that stuff right now through by catering it, right? Through the plot.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
But the idea is at some point down the road to have a brick and mortar.
Yeah.
And you sell it at Wrench and Rodent as well. I mean,
oh yeah.
I mean, how many vegan meals do you put out a night at Wrench?
The percentage would shock you.
That's what shocked me.
Yeah, between both places on just nights where maybe it's a full moon and all the vegans come out, but there's been nights where 30% of what we're putting out is veggie based.
And you kind of have that market built in, though. You're in Oceanside, North County, so you're going to have a certain amount of that walking in the door on a regular basis anyways. But you've also built your reputation on that, right? So on the other end of the spectrum, the fine dining scene, how much vegetarian, vegan requests are you getting?
A lot. Every single day we have like between 5 and 10 guests, vegetarian.
Mm-hmm.
If you are the gluten-free too, it's like another 10.
All right.
That's why every time I create a menu, I make sure there is a lot of vegetarian option now and gluten-free. You don't have to...
So it's very, very important then to a successful
you
restaurant.
need to adapt to yourself for the future.
If you got 10 or 15 on a regular night, and maybe you're doing on a Wednesday you're doing 150, 200 covers, you got 10% of your business is vegetarian or vegan. That's substantial.
So kind of looping back, why is it that there aren't Michelin-starred vegan restaurants? Why, if veganism, if vegetarianism is such a growing market, such a growing part of the food market, the restaurant market, why is it that they're not getting the respect from Michelin, from the world's 50 best?
Well, look at the Plaza Athénée Alain Ducasse in Paris. His cuisine is based of grains and herbs, and that's it. It's a vegetarian restaurant. And I think they start to show it's a 3 Michelin star restaurant. Yeah. And,
there are a lot of Michelin-starred restaurants that offer vegan options, but they're not vegan restaurants. They're not exclusively vegan.
Well, that's going to come soon. That's for sure.
What's it going to take?
I don't know, but no, not. I don't know, maybe 5 years max.
But what kind of change would it take? Well, I mean, what would if the god of veganism were to come down, just descend on you and drop $6 million in your lap to open a restaurant, provided it's a vegan restaurant? Would you do it?
Of course. But I have a private room in the back for regular guests.
Yeah, I mean, is there enough interest in the food world in general? And I'm posing this question, right? I'm not necessarily a vegan or vegetarian aficionado. However,
or hater.
I've been to some places where it was vegetarian or vegan, and I'm eating this stuff going, man, I'd come back for this is like really, really good stuff. Do I search it out? No. And so if I'm traveling the world trying to hit all of the Michelin restaurants and stuff, and a vegan or vegetarian one pops up, and yet in the same city there's 20 other meat-based, I guess, if that's what you call them, I'm probably that's going to slip way down to the bottom of the list for me.
I think it's probably going to be one of the fastest growing areas. You know, right now we're sitting here, we're noticing this thing that's gaining momentum. And just everything with how our society works is going to be pushing more and more people that way. Now, opening a vegan restaurant tomorrow, you might be a little bit ahead of your time. I'm sure you struggle to get there because
with the exception of certain places. I mean, I think you could do that in North County. I think you can do that in San Francisco. I think if you were to go to Oklahoma City, you probably wouldn't do very well as a vegan restaurant.
And then there's just the other challenge of to some people, not having meat's like tying one arm behind your back or tying both arms behind your back, but then there's that drive inside of you that's like, let's take on this challenge and let's make it good.
Well, meat's kind of like salt. It makes everything easier to cook. You know what I mean? And so, you take away that meat and that protein.
If you've got meat, if you've got animal-based protein, you've got the center of the plate. And it's, I guess that is a crutch.
Yeah, I've never gotten an empty plate from Davin, though. So, well, look, I feel like we need a whole nother hour because we didn't even get into half of what we wanted to talk about here. But Well, we're just about out of time.
No, we
wanted to talk a little bit about you guys' take on the San Diego restaurant scene and some of the young chefs coming up in it. What do you where do you think San Diego is right now on the grand scale of restaurant scenes?
I mean, do you see
coming up, leveling out, in a lull, falling off?
We still
just pushing ahead.
Yeah.
Looking forward, but
I have a lot of faith in the future. The young guys out there.
For course.
Right now, there's
who are some of them?
Willie, of course.
Willie Ike at 608 in Oceanside. Yeah. William.
I mean, and then saying younger, I can't. I mean, I'm not super old myself, but.
Well, right now you're OG, man. You've had Wrench 4 or 5 years, and not saying you're not on the cutting edge.
That's ages and dog years.
You are on the cutting edge, but you're kind of an OG guy because you were arguably at the forefront of the current revolution, right?
Yeah, it's cool to see. I mean, San Diego's hard because everybody is paying so much just to be able to say they live here or just to live here. That sunshine tax is real. And
we also don't have the corporate, the corporate tourism coming in. The people coming in with massive expense account budgets to spend $300, $400.
The best customers are the ones that are shopping with someone else's money.
Yeah, of course.
So best young up and coming chef, Patrick.
Well, I have one with me.
I know.
My sous chef is Michel. Michel Dillman is new in San Diego. He came here almost 2 years ago. He worked for three different Michelin Star restaurants in Alsace, and he's learning the country right now, the language, and the way we work here is different than France, and he's going to be one of the future best. For sure.
And if you're watching this show, you can say you heard it here first when you eat at his restaurant in 5 years, and Michel is the executive chef.
Yeah, Michel Dillman. He
Dillman.
reminded me chef used to work for me before. Well, for me in New York, Johan Comte. The same mentality, same hard worker, same lot of creativity. He's gonna do as well as Johan. Johan has 2 Michelin Stars now. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. So you said that with Michel that the way things work here in America is different.
Yeah, the organization in France in a Michelin Star restaurant you have 20 cooks.
Yeah.
Here we have 6, and we do like 200 people. In France you do 60 people.
So true.
Yeah.
What's the biggest problem in the San Diego restaurant scene right now?
To find good cooks.
Is that just San Diego, or is that nationwide?
A little bit everywhere, but San Diego.
So what are some of the challenges? Because you've both started. You've got 2 restaurants. You've been in a number of obviously establishments.
Yeah.
What's happening?
I don't know. Maybe I want to say the culinary school. Maybe need to change the program a little bit and teach those young students to learn a bigger foundation, like we talked about before.
But does a great chef necessarily have to have gone to culinary school?
The best way to learn is in a restaurant.
Right.
Yeah. They come with me. Train them.
So really putting it on culinary school is absolving their parents of the way that they raised them.
Plus the school is so expensive. And
there's these things like dedication and loyalty and work ethic and the willingness to start at the bottom and work your way to the top. Right.
Well, I think there's a legal barrier that is poised to become a real problem, and that is the old system of staging, which was how classically people are trained. There's some legal impediments to doing that. It's that's forced labor. And there have been some attempts to actually crack down on that. And the effect that would have on the culinary world is dramatic. I mean, you go to a place like Addison, you go to a place like the French Laundry. How many people there aren't making a paycheck?
I've been through that too.
Yeah, but on the other hand, those same people they're willing to do that because the alternative is to go to culinary academy and actually pay money.
Yeah, so you're saving like 20 grand.
You're saving 20 grand, and you know, you may not be getting a broad-based education. You're getting depth.
Yeah,
you're getting work ethic,
and you're getting a mentor or mentors that are on the line that are doing this every day, not just somebody that not an academic. That's
and providing they say yes, you get to choose your teacher.
Right.
You know, you get to.
And how important is it to have had a mentor in both of you guys' career? Because I feel like maybe that's some of what's not with to Michael's point. Yeah. Not having the ability to stage. I mean, we know some very qualified volunteers that would love to volunteer at restaurants, yet the restaurants can't let them into the kitchen unless they're on the payroll and covered by insurance.
Well, they covered by insurance, but not necessarily on the payroll. We haven't gotten to the point yet where they've ended the possibility of staging. I can see it from here. I can absolutely see it from here. But so how important were mentors to you?
My mentor, he put me on the right track. Maybe it teach me to be passionate first, and when you're passionate about cooking, you're good to go.
Who is your mentor?
Didier Oudil.
Didier
Oudil, yeah.
Wow.
Didier Oudil used to train Alain Ducasse. Used to train.
Well, I guess if you're going to have a mentor, that would be a good start.
Yeah. He trained Daniel Boulu back in France.
And David?
That's awesome. Yeah, I definitely I owe everything I have to my mentors, and for me there's been multiple along the way. And
who'd you point to?
Hero up in Santa Barbara was really cool and one of the first, and he was also the one that when he sent me off, he's like, don't spend your life just doing sushi. You learn to cook, you learn this, don't get in this box. And then he, kind of kicked me out the door and I came back to San Diego. But,
yeah, very cool.
All right, well, we're nearing the end of part 2 of The Best Chef in San Diego on the Art of Spooning podcast. And as always, we're going to hit the specialty produce product of the week. And this time it is quinoa.
Let's talk about vegan again.
So, what are you going to do with this?
Boil it.
Thank you.
No, quinoa is great. It boosts the nutritional value of things quite a bit. A little sprinkle. I like it. If a dish is lacking texture, and it's kind of a starch. I mean, you don't think of it like your typical. It's not like a potato, but it's a starch. So a little sprinkle of this definitely adds some. Just a little texture. Putting it in a popcorn popper is fun too. Just saying it.
And me?
Yeah.
I boil it too. Let's boil it and. But I like cold salad, like cold pasta.
Uh-huh.
I like quinoa mixed with a very simple, like orange segment, some feta cheese, and simple and. If I have to use in the kitchen, it's a different story. Yeah.
So what are you going to do with it in the kitchen?
I don't know. Use as a starch, and don't know yet.
Do you have any
lobster.
quinoa in your kitchen?
No.
Okay.
Have you ever has quinoa ever graced your kitchen? Has it ever been in your kitchen?
No. No, not yet.
There's a challenge. How about you, Sheen?
I would much rather have a bowl of grits. But I'll tell you, when we were raising our kids, Fluffy Unicorn made dinner every night, 5 or 6 o'clock every night. Dinner was on the table, and she's a good cook. And at times she would experiment, and I would try to be very, very diplomatic when I would tell her, that was okay, but you don't ever have to make that again.
How do you do that? How do you do that diplomatically?
Just like that, with a smile on your face and looking down. Don't ever make eye contact when you say that. So when we were walking around today picking this out, Michael got this big grin on his face. He goes, quinoa. I've never seen either one of them serve quinoa. I go, oh, I have. David served me quinoa once. He goes, he did? How was it? I said, I kept my eyes down. I said, that was okay, but you never have to serve that to me again.
Well, what I'm going to try to do, I'm going to try to take that and combine it with what I was talking about with the amaranth, baby amaranth leaves, and try to make the edible soil using that.
Dude, put the the Oaxacan tequila worm powder or the grasshopper powder.
Yeah.
Put that in your dirt. That lemony kind of.
Oh yeah.
So good. We need to get a play date going.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, that brings us to the end of another successful Art of Spooning podcast, and we will see you in 2 weeks with Chefs Who Took Day Jobs, featuring
James Montejano
and
Nick Brune.
We'll see you then.
See ya.
Bye-bye.